Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Mo Football. And today is a special one again because now it is High School Champions League edition. And just also funny enough that we have a college girls soccer coach,
That's correct.
especially knowing that now in St. Louis, we are kicking off our first high school girls Champions League today. So we're having, I believe, 4 games starting. So it looks like it was made in the storyline that we have a college coach and who also won the Champions League. So all lined up in one nice bowl for everyone that enjoys soccer. So we have Coach Ethan Figgener, if I say it right.
Figgener. Yeah, it's close.
Yes.
It's close.
Awesome. I had to work on it, but it definitely works. All right, so Coach, so thank you for joining. So, like I say in the introduction, so you have a little bit of experience with the Champions League as well. So could you tell us a little bit more about, first, your playing days from, you know, we'll say we'll kick it off by high school wise.
Awesome. Yeah. So, um, obviously, when you reached out, I was super excited because you had mentioned I had seen your videos with Champions League. So, in high school, I played for Eastlake High School. Our head coach at the time was Thurston Johnson. He's over at our rivals now, over at Palm Harbor University
Oh,
High School. But he was a coach, a trainer. But we obviously he was my coach my junior and senior year at Eastlake. And then in 2019, it was the first year that the Tampa Bay Champions League had taken place in the Tampa area. And then we were obviously fortunate enough to get the results that we needed. We had beaten, it was Shorecrest 2-1 over at Wiregrass. It's obviously, yes, I think high school soccer is growing. So to now have that in my playing experience and my history, I think is very, very cool. Just to have that little addition of, hey, we won the first ever Champions League trophy, and it's always going to be in Eastlake's name. So that's a little bit about my high school career there.
Nice, nice. Yes. And it's always nice to say that you had the first one because there's
Yep,
only a first. So no one can take that away, no matter who wins it more.
exactly, exactly.
Yes. And I also saw that you've also played a little bit with the Rowdies during your youth. So they're also a big component of more the Tampa Bay top 10. And those finals are playing at Airline Stadium.
Alling Stadium,
Yeah,
correct.
so that's kind
Yes.
of the connection. So could you tell us a little bit more of, how that transition from, high school and then you play Champions League high school to then, you know, the Rowdies? How does that connection?
Yeah, so with the Rowdies, it was back in the day. It used to be called the Tampa Bay United Rowdies. So
Okay.
obviously, I was a player back then. I wasn't too involved in regards to like the business side or the
Right.
other. I was a player, right? So
Yeah.
I enjoyed the game. I still enjoy the game. But it was. I don't want to say it was an academy to the Rowdies, but I guess it
Okay.
was. But my head coach during that time was Kelvin Jones. So it was a great, great group. I had came from West Florida Flames over in the Eastlake campus, made the move over to Tampa Bay United, the Rowdies. They had just won, I think it was 2017 or 2018. They had won the national championship with USYS.
Nice.
And then the following years was my first year. We went and we won the state cup with under FYSA. And then we went back to USYS in the finals, and we had lost in the finals against the team that we had beat in the group stages. So I think that was a really big piece of my development as a player in the club. And then obviously I was still playing high school at the time as well, right? There's a lot of soccer, still is a lot of soccer nowadays. Even going through the recruitment process, a lot of going high school games, going GA games, ECNL, RL, whatever it might be. So a lot of soccer still back then and still to this day. But yeah, that was a little bit of what I did over at the Tampa Bay United Rowdies.
Nice. That. And so how would you say, do you remember anything, some takeaway from like the high school Champions League? Because we know not the whole country is fortunate to have that tournament where they just, have to do their high school and then it stops there. You have the opportunity to have, now you have another title, pretty much.
Yeah,
And not many high school can say we have a Champions League title.
yeah.
So anything that,
I think
kind of
it's
help
very
with that?
cool. I think it's very unique, right? So, and for the high school, I'm currently also an assistant coach over at Calvary Christian on the boys' side.
Okay.
So we had lost in the regional finals
Okay.
in PKs. So you have that process of obviously your district, your regionals, and then your state. Obviously that tournament, right?
Right.
Having that Tampa Bay Champions League, it gives, like I said, it's unique. But it gives another outlet for the best teams in Tampa to play each other, where maybe they won't see each other in districts or the regionals or the state Final Four, whatever it might be, right? So I just think it adds to the game. I think it's very beneficial because you get to see top soccer being played in the area. So I think for me, that the biggest takeaway is, if it wasn't for the Tampa Bay Champions League, we wouldn't have been playing the Wiregrass, the Shorecrest, all the top teams back in the day. They were very, very good. So I just think it, like I said, it just adds to the player's experience of playing high level soccer. I think sometimes high school, especially on the college side, sometimes high school is frowned upon in regards to like the talent, the development of a player. But I think the Champions League, it gives a little bit more than just, oh, this is high school soccer. We've been at high school games to recruit. Obviously, I'm a high school coach as well. So, like I said, that Champions League side of it, it just adds a little bit more to the high school side, and I think it's very beneficial.
Nice. And what better person to say I'm you for, you've won it and now you're on the recruiting side of things. So
Yeah,
it's always good to know that there are coaches that kind of have
yeah,
and I think from what we've seen is that when you have that history of a certain tournament, then after that it kind of helps you like yourself, going to a high school and not just, going to those we'll say ECNL and other club
yeah,
experience because now there's another route. And that's what kind of attracted me to that as well, because I'm more of used of the European style of things where, they go everywhere to watch for players, not
yeah.
just a certain group. So that definitely helps. So, and on that part, so now knowing that you went from the playing side down to the coaching side. So could you tell us a little bit more of first, your college days, and
Yeah. So
did you always want it to be a coach?
that is you're unpacking a lot here. So
Oh,
it's a great question. So I played 2 years over at Warner University, so at NAIA school in Lake Wales, Florida, Central Florida. And then I played 2 years. I transferred. I got my associates, and then I went over to Florida College to finish my college career. During that time was COVID, so I had received another COVID, a year of eligibility to play because of COVID.
good.
So I played my 2 years and finished out at Florida College, got my bachelor's, and then my goal was to go and get my master's, right? So nowadays I feel like the working environment, whatever I wanted to do, is very, very competitive. So I knew it was going to be something in soccer or athletics. I like higher education as well. So something in that realm, I didn't know what exactly it would be. I had went back to Warner, had a good relationship with the coach, Drew Stacy still, and reached out and said, hey, I do want to continue playing. I'd love to obviously have the opportunity to get my master's and play for you for my COVID year. I have one more year left. So I went and I trained with the team. For me, it was really, I had played UPSL within there during that time as well. And I was trying to figure out what my next steps were, right? So finishing my 4-year degree, what's next? And so the first 10 minutes of that training session, I had tore my ACL. And that pushed me into a bit of a different direction into where I wanted to go. So I used to work for the Florida Youth Soccer Association as well, administratively, for the Olympic Development Program. So everything behind the scenes with that. So as that was going on, I had a lot going on, right? So just trying to find the right path and what was next for me in my professional career as well. So going backtracking a little bit, before I had tore my ACL at Warner, I had been approached by my current head coach, my boss, Jack Paris, over at Weber International University, about being a graduate assistant coach. And at the time I said, no, I could never. I used to be a player at Warner. We're rivals. I can't do that. And then obviously things happened for a reason, and the opportunity was good. And so my first year as a grad assistant coach, and then this past year as a full-time assistant overseeing our reserve program, taking on that director of soccer operations role as well. So like I said, if I hadn't tore my ACL, I wouldn't be in the place I am today. So I know it's a little bit more than what you asked about just my
No,
college. Yeah.
no, and I think that you brought up a very good point too. Because I think one of the things that we also like to talk in all of the podcast and everything is that we all have been players at first, but there's a small margin that will go in the pros. So
Yeah.
there's many facets of soccer that you still can be involved and not necessarily being a soccer player. So seeing that you've gone to have your bachelor and now going for your master and still being involved in the sport of soccer, that's kind of one of the things that attracts me to the people that I talk to, is that you know soccer has given us a lot during our youth days,
Yes, they
but it's also
have.
kind of trained us to um you know now you're administrator, you're a coach, many facets that you didn't have to worry about before. And I guess I will say, is it a way for you to give back also to the game that gave you so much?
Yes. So it was maybe a few months ago, and it was more than a few months now. It's almost been a whole year. Wow. So back home. So I'm from Clearwater, that
Okay.
area, Palm Harbor, Clearwater area, here in Florida. I had, obviously, my youth career was it was very positive. It was good. It was, in my opinion, successful. Um, I had a lot of, obviously, friends, teammates that continued to play for fun. And this is going back to giving back to the game. So we created something back home called the Palm Harbor Pelicans. So
Yep.
it is a Suncoast team. So it's Sunday League, right? But at the same time, we've partnered with Player Sports Academy. So it's a youth organization that works like after school type of programs. It has multiple sports, but it has soccer involved in there as well. So we've partnered with them. So looking to do a camp with them, have our players that, we have some players that played at Marshall. We have an NCAA championship, a champion on our team.
Oh, wow.
We have guys that have played at the D1, D2, NAI level. We're going UPSL this next year as well. So we'll have Suncoast and UPSL. So yes, giving back to the game, I think, is huge, because obviously I've been able to go through my playing career with coaches, administrators, just people in our surrounding the soccer environment that have done things for me that now I'm able to give back because of the experience that they were able to give me and the environment that they were able to create. So, yes, I think giving back to the game is huge, especially nowadays. It's not, sometimes we see that a lot of things are all about the money. For us, it's not all about the money, and whatever we can do to help, having guys that, yes, they want to play on Sunday, they want to continue to enjoy the game, but then if we can do a little bit more than that, so whether it's volunteering with Top Soccer, whether it is doing a youth camp and just helping out that program as well. So I think that's a big thing, giving back to the game. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. So we'll have to kind of promote and see what you guys are doing, because and I think that's what one of those things that how Jim Hart and myself kind of met was, I think, through friends that we know each other. So I always tell people, even though soccer or football is a global sport, it is a small community. So you always find that 5 degrees of person and comes together.
Yes, it
And I
does.
think that's
Yep.
where we see on the Champions League is that I don't think there's anything else that Jim, myself, and you guys from Florida side that I'm here in St. Louis, coming from France, would have never probably talked to each other or connected
Exactly.
if he
Yep.
wasn't for soccer.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely promote you guys on that Pelican side.
Awesome.
I'm sure my wife will probably gonna want one of those jerseys because she's a huge Pelican
Okay.
advocate. Yes, and
That's
we're
awesome. Yeah.
we spend three times a year we're in Florida too. So
Awesome.
that
Awesome.
so from that part, so you went from playing in your youth to Champions League high school. It looks like you also played club, so you've had that experience of having all of those worlds in one. Compared to like these kids now these days, looks like a lot of them have to skip high school if certain club says you have to play. Um, what is your take? Maybe a light take on that new ways. Where it says stay away from high school because if you want to go to a D1, etc. Do you have any thought on that piece? And I know
I'll
it's
keep
probably
I'll keep
As a
it brief.
college recruiter,
Yeah,
yes.
I'll keep it brief because as a player that played in high school in the Champions League, a player that had like I said, a successful playing career,
Sure did, yes.
I think like we have MLS Next, right? So
Yes.
MLS Next players, typically most clubs, they say, no, you cannot play.
Yeah.
That's fine. Why? Because they want the professional development within their like
Right.
so-called academy,
Yes.
right? With
Yeah. I
whatever.
don't even count. Yes. I don't even
Yeah.
count MLX Next because those you have the professional club that's almost tied to somewhat.
Yeah.
So yes, those.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's tough because high school offers like you're playing for your school, right? So every
Yes.
single day you go to class, right? When I went to Eastlake, I had 7 periods, so
Yeah.
I went to class with my friends that would come and support us at the games. So I think playing for your school, playing for college, right? Because it's your
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
I think it creates a sense of value and ownership that hey, this is my program. Like I'm an alumni after my 4 years here. Like it offers a little bit more than okay, I'm going to go play club. And do I think club is necessary? I do because it's that professional development that's necessary for whether it's the technical side, the physical side, whatever it might be, right? So I'm not saying that I recommend players to go play club. I think they need to, especially within
Yeah.
that development. But if you're capable of doing it, obviously managing, right? We can talk about periodization. We can talk about the management of how many games you're playing per week.
Yeah.
I think that's where it gets tricky as to why people say stay away from high school soccer.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's managed appropriately, 100%, I think you should go play high school soccer, especially here in Florida. Now you have the opportunity to go play in the Champions League in this specific tournament that not everywhere is offered. So that being said, right, I do, if you can, obviously being managed appropriately, I think club and high school, I think they're both beneficial, and high school offers something that club doesn't, and a club offers something that high school doesn't. So both are beneficial if it's managed appropriately.
Okay. So I kind of like the part that you say kind of manage. I don't think many people bring that part of the workload.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand that part. So if you have a traveling team, it's totally different. I will say. And I think I've seen some teams, club teams here that actually kind of pause some of
Okay.
their training,
Yep.
and then have their players play high school. So yes, I think we'll definitely bookmark that player load and management because I think you're probably the first one that kind of managed that
Awesome.
piece of it.
It's a different perspective.
Yes, there you have it. So I guess now jumping on to your college career. So you're assistant coach. How do you guys feel about so are you in incoming season or
So
where are you
yeah,
on the stage?
right now it's just a lot of recruiting. We're in our spring
Okay.
season, so spring is our off season. We only have 3 games,
Okay.
and then we have obviously our fall season, which is 18 games. So our fall season starts in August, where we have preseason. Our players come in, and then we start in August there. So we play. My school is in the NAIA Sun Conference. So
Okay.
honestly, I think I played in it. For 2 years in the Sun Conference with Warner, but I think the Sun Conference is probably one of the best NAIA conferences there is for both men's and women's soccer. So that's where we are right now. We're just recruiting. I was just at Lakewood Ranch at the ECNL RL showcase, doing a lot of recruiting, right? Building our program and the expectations that we have for ourselves for the upcoming season. So.
Okay. I guess I might be a little biased, but St. Louis, we're well known for
I have a
creating
good
some
friend
very
that
good players.
I have a good friend that he played when I was at Florida College. He played over in St. Louis. His name is Nick Giesing.
Nick
I don't know
Keiser.
if I know his dad is. He's always told me his dad is a coach, a high school coach over there. But
Ah,
that's my only connection I have, other than you now from St. Louis.
I guess we're not. Does not sound familiar, but I'm very bad with names though.
Okay.
Faces up, yes. So I think we'll probably connect because St. Louis is a very small town when it comes to soccer. We almost
Okay.
all know each other. So I
Okay.
guess now it's that plug that maybe St. Louis. You should watch the St. Louis high school girls and see
Yeah.
how things works out.
Yeah. I mean, I would say this, right?
Yes.
For the state of Florida, there's a lot of talent in our state. So
Right.
typically, if we can stay local, we do. Especially, there's some other financial incentives to stay in the state since we're a private institution. And then international. So like we were saying, Florida,
Oh,
beautiful weather. We just, they see Florida and they want to come enjoy it. So Especially if they're here. If they stay in the summer, they play on a summer team here, or if they're in the spring where it's a little bit lighter, we have more off weekends. Like for now, today is the first day of our spring break, so our players they're enjoying their spring break, right? Also, being mindful that we're still in our off season, we have things to accomplish, but at the same time, you get to enjoy spring break here in Florida. So it's a luxury that not all college players have. So
No, it
yeah,
isn't.
yeah,
You'll be surprised. Half of St. Louis goes to Florida on vacation.
yeah.
Yes. Every time I go out, probably see 5 or 6 families from St. Louis. So we're
Nice, yeah.
it's a close I guess St. Louis and Florida connection.
Yes.
So yeah, and so knowing also that we just spoke and knowing that Jim Hart. So did you have any connection? Spoke with him? Anything that you know? Um,
I don't. I
okay.
don't know him personally like that. Actually, there is a picture that I have of
Uh,
us holding the trophy with Jim Hart that I can send you as well.
Oh yes.
Um, I don't know him personally.
Okay.
I have an uncle. His name is Mike Figgener.
Okay.
That knows Jim Hart very well. Um, I know Ryan Seidel knows Jim Hart as well because obviously he's the head coach for Calvary Christian on the
Yes.
boys side. So I personally, I've never really interacted with him on a one-on-one basis. But I do have a lot of people that obviously they know Jim Hart very well.
Yes, not surprising. So I guess we'll have
Yeah,
to get you guys show that picture, and I'm sure
yeah.
he will be very excited to know. And then I think, and what he's doing a lot. I mean, him and also Dave Wilson. What they're
Okay.
doing is they
He's
kind of
Wiregrass, correct?
yes,
Yep,
yes.
yep, yep.
So what they're doing now is also, like yourself and others that kind of, either won the tournament of Champions League or have kind of involvement and kind of promote you guys, that says, you've been in that environment. So where maybe can that, go to your old high school or others around town is like, self-promoting the Champions League because it looks like you yourself have a very successful career, and then there's others that we see coming from Tampa because you guys have the more, I guess, senior Champions League,
Okay.
and I'm starting to see you guys. You've won it, and now you kind of making your progression from playing, coaching, and others. So, um, anything that since you've had that well of good of a career, and now that led you to coaching, any advice that you have for any young kids that's going to high school that maybe not have the pathway that others may have?
Yeah, I would say a big thing. Hopefully, this answers your question.
Okay,
A big thing that I've seen now, especially on the women's side,
okay,
unfortunately, on the women's side, what happens a lot is that throughout the high school career, as they're a junior, senior, they don't enjoy the game like they used to. So, I think a big thing that I've learned from a good friend of mine is always have a reason why. So, making sure that you do things with intention and purpose. So, yeah, let's say you go to club training, 5 days a week, and then you have high school training on top of that, right? Why? Like, why do you do what you do? Is it because you enjoy kicking a soccer ball? There's got to be a little bit more beneath that, as to why you do what you do. Like for example, for me as a college coach, right? I want to be able to provide an environment for these players coming in. Why do I enjoy the game of soccer? 100%, right? There's weeks I put 50, 60 hours in where I don't get paid for that extra 20 hours, right? But at the same time, I love what I do and I want to be able to give back. So going back to giving back to the game, right? Why do I have a Palm Harbor Pelicans? Why do I go 50, 60 hours a week to provide an environment or a culture for these players to help my head coach? Hey, this is what we want to do, X, Y, and Z. This is what we need to do. So giving back to the game for me is a big part of my why, especially now as an administrator and coach. But I think it always enjoying the game. I think that's a big reason. Like we talk for our class of 2025 right now. There's been players that we speak with. They're interested in the school, etc. But then they're just like, I don't see myself making that commitment to play college soccer for the next 4 years. And I understand that completely wholeheartedly. But you've got to always find your why and continue to enjoy the game. So hopefully that answers your question on that.
yes, definitely. And burnout is it's a big one. I've I've seen quite a few friends that um, you know, uh, I think I will say some maybe just like yourself, right? Some of these kids are probably in the professional environment, probably from the age 7 all the way to high school and then college, and then decide not to play, even though they
Yep.
were top rank in naturally. So it looks like burnout and your why is definitely a big one. So and I think you mentioned that you're doing the Pelican and all the rich giving back. Is there anything else you wanted to share with the world on anything
No,
others that you're doing?
nothing yet, right? I mean, very, very excited for the future with what we
Yeah.
have going on. For UPSL, we are partnering with a local club
Okay.
to make things work, right? So it's all in the works right now. So things will come to light very, very soon. But to have a UPSL group that I think is going to be very, very talented, gelling that team together, and for us not using, but playing within the Suncoast, enjoying that, we still will be next year as well. But being able to have a foundation now, all right. I mean, we bring a lot of talented players that played together 5-6 years ago, and now bring them together to form this UPSL team. I think it's great. So very, very excited for the future for what we have going on there as well.
Yes, and definitely love to see when old players coming back and playing, and after that kind of showing that I always say I like to show the kids that we still have it, because sometimes
Yes.
they think we're
Yep. Yep.
the age is just a number when it comes to soccer.
Yes. Yep.
So yeah, so I think the last thing to cover, so now just in soccer in general, those are like the fun questions for the end of the game. So is there a certain player that you kind of look up to growing up that you're like, this is the person, or I want to take something from him?
That's a fun question. So I would say, so I was a center back or a six, a center
Okay.
defensive midfielder. So whether it was Sergio Ramos,
Okay.
I loved watching
Ooh,
him just
okay.
because of how aggressive he was
Yes.
as a player. And then Bastian Schweinsteiger. So he used
Okay.
to play over in Bayern Munich, and then
Yep.
also for Germany's national team. So I don't think many people say him, but he was definitely someone that I felt as if a big thing that I always tell our players as well is that the best players are those that are able to create the space so then others can find it. And I think he's someone that, whether it was scanning, whether it was his awareness on top, off the ball, I think he's someone that controlled the game like he was the engine for a team. And sometimes he got overlooked because you have other players that are scoring the goals, but without him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's someone that, as more of a midfielder, I definitely looked and watched his film, watched his highlights, love to watch him play. My favorite team is Bayern Munich. My family's from Germany.
Okay.
So that is someone, that team is, I used to go home, watch it with my grandpa and just watch the Bundesliga. So that was a big league that I always used to come home to and watch. But yeah, he's a big reason as to why I played the way I did. Yeah.
Nice. And I think you answered the other question. So Bayern Munich is, I guess, your
Okay.
team growing up. Is it still your team to
Yeah,
this day?
yeah. No, I still enjoy watching Bayern Munich. Honestly, I need to watch more soccer
Okay.
off like just watching film for our own team.
Okay.
Just watch it again just to enjoy it because I'm always observing, right? So maybe just watching and relaxing a little bit more and watching Bayern Munich play again will be nice too. But yeah.
Nice. So any local teams? Do you watch USL, MLS? Any of those teams that you?
I would say Inter Miami just because Messi's there, right?
Okay,
Obviously,
makes
showing
sense.
a big player here in Florida now. The Tampa Bay Sun, I think is
Okay.
very, very cool. I mean, I've yet to go watch a game in person, but very, very happy that we have this team here in the Tampa Bay area. So going back to Tampa Bay Champions League, Tampa Bay Sun, right? We had Tampa Bay Rowdies. So there's a lot going on in this dense population that we have here in the Tampa area within Florida. But I think the Tampa Bay Sun's really, really cool as to what's going on. Just following them on social media and stuff like that. Have to go get your game. Definitely
Oh
have to go watch
yes.
your game. But yeah.
Yes, and I think last year I missed. I think I had to. I was in Tampa for. I watched the Charleston's when
Okay.
they play against the Rowdies.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
I think I
Charleston
had to.
Battery or Independent.
Yes,
What?
Charleston Batteries. Yes,
Okay.
I
Yep.
think it
Yep.
was one of those games where I think Tampa came back from 3-0 to win 4-3. Um, that was probably one of the best game I've watched in a very long time. So, and I think I missed the Suns game. I think by one day I had to go back to
Oh,
St. Louis. So
yeah.
I was disappointed on that part.
Vacation wasn't long enough.
Unfortunately, yes. Yes. And I believe I will be back in December to watch the final of the Boys Champions League next
Okay.
this December.
Very
Um,
cool.
so other than that, so how are you feeling about World Cup is coming next year? How are you feeling about the U.S. winning it or coming
Yeah.
close to winning it?
I hope that especially having it in our home grounds, right?
Yeah,
Hopefully, it pushes the U.S. to get some results here and show well for us. Definitely going to get a ticket for that, so
yeah,
you will definitely see me at one game wherever it might be, right? So
yes.
I will definitely be attending the World Cup and super excited that it's here in the States. Um, so yeah, no, super excited with that too.
Any wild predictions? Who do you think might
This
take
is
it?
this
Or
is this is recorded, so we're gonna have that. I
yes,
predicted this. Um, wow. Just to put it out there. So half my family's from Brazil, half my family's from Germany.
okay,
So I apologize to the other half of my family if you watch this. I would say Germany wins the World Cup.
okay. Wow,
Yeah.
that's an interesting take.
Yes.
And even though those two have been struggling a little bit in the
Yeah.
past few years, so all
Yeah.
right,
We'll
so
see what happens. It's one game at a time.
yes, so Brazil. All right. So how far do you think the US might be able to make it?
I definitely think they make it out of the group stages.
Okay.
I don't think that's from
Oh,
my
they better.
prediction. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think they make it out of the group stages. Um, I would hope to see them at least go to the round of 8.
Okay.
I think that's a fair prediction. And then anything more than that, very happy. Obviously, yeah, very happy if they make it past even that. So super excited to see what the results show and just to even watch the games.
Yeah. I think we're thinking like I think the eighth will be,
Yeah.
especially for host countries. It's almost the standard where you might not, get the pitchforks out.
I
At
think it's
home.
a fair. I think it's a fair prediction.
Yes. So I guess the last one, last question. I think that's the one that's for the younger generation is the most asked question: Messi or Ronaldo?
I'm
And
a
I know
Messi.
you're in Florida, so
I'm a Messi fan. I think Ronaldo's a fantastic player. I think he works very hard. The reason why I enjoy watching Messi play is he's for me. I think he's a bit more talented and skillful on top of the ball. So I just enjoy watching him play. Um, for me, it's Messi.
all right, yes.
Yep.
Well, you mentioned those two. I always tell people Messi has the God-given talent,
Yes.
and Ronaldo has the hard worker talent.
And that's a perfect.
That's
That's the
what makes
perfect
him
way to
on
put
there.
it. Yep.
Yes, awesome. Well, so yeah. So anything else from Ethan? Champions League, your season, anything that you would like to share with us?
No, super excited though. Like you said, talking about all these new things in Tampa. So super excited for what's to come in the area here. And if there's anything I can do to help to continue to promote the Tampa Bay Champions League, anything else in the area to develop, continue to help grow the game, I'm here for it. So super happy I was able to get on here with you, Musa.
Yes, we'll definitely will have to put you on the alumni part of the Champions League.
Awesome.
So yes, so definitely appreciate your time. It's always nice to talk to people about soccer from all level of soccer, and it's always good to have someone that kind of have done it. So now the kids kind of know, who to look up to during the Champions League. And says, I want to be just like this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Well, for those of you that join, if you've listened to YouTube or I believe podcast or this whole thing, just go ahead and follow, like it, and let us know if you have any comments for us. Ethan, definitely appreciate your time. Hopefully, you'll send some of that good weather our way very soon because I'm
Yep.
cold. Other than that, thank you, and I hope to talk to you very soon.
Awesome. Take care.
All right, thanks.